Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza is brought to you by Sport Relay. Honest, unbiased, and apolitical. Sport Relay, your connection to the diamond. And by A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs, Volumes 1 and 2, by Evan Thompson. Relive the glory. A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs.
This week on Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza.
A vast improvement in the top 5 American League closers. The Rangers Relief Corps is having a special contest. Week 6 team power rankings. Week 6 individual power rankings. And a visit with our special guest, the pitching ninja, Rob Friedman. Don't go away. Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza begins now. Welcome to Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza. I'm your host, Evan Thompson, Editor-in-Chief, National Writer, and Athletics Writer at Sport Relay. I also wrote these 2 books, A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs, Volume 1, Pre-Divisional Tiebreakers through 1976, and Volume 2, 1977 through 1984. If you are interested in ordering a copy or two, there are links in the description box below this video. And please, I need money. Help a guy out. We have started the 7th week of the season, and the standings are rather odd. As you saw earlier, we are filming this on Saturday the 9th, and at the end of play last night, Friday, May 8th, every team in the National League Central had a winning record. All 5 of them. That means there are more teams in that division than there are in the entire American League with winning records. New York Yankees, Tampa Bay Rays, Cleveland Guardians, and the Athletics, by the way. The 3 AL division leaders plus the AL East runner-up. Even further, only 3 National League teams outside the National League Central have a winning record. The 2 division leaders, the Atlanta Braves and the Los Angeles Dodgers, plus the National League West runner-up San Diego Padres. Absolutely amazing. And speaking of the Braves, my heart was heavy when I found out this morning of the passing of longtime manager Bobby Cox. Sport Relay mourns his death, and our hearts are with his family and his friends in this difficult time. Statistics for this episode run through the end of play on Wednesday, May 6th. Let's take a look at the top stories from the world of relief pitching. Our top story regards the top 5 in the American League closer power rankings. For the first time all season, the top 5 American League closers all scored in triple digits. 2 weeks ago, the 5th place closer scored 45.7, and the 3rd place closer had 51.2. Talk about a vast improvement. Now, one of them did move over to closer from setup man for this week's rankings, so that did affect it a little bit. But other than that, this is a vast improvement. Let's take a look at the specifics. Here is this week's top 5. Since we haven't revealed the names of the top 5 AL closers yet, we have them labeled Pitcher E, Pitcher D, Pitcher C, Pitcher B, and Pitcher A. Pitcher E is 5th place, Pitcher D 4th place, and so on. Take a look yourself. Pause the video if you need to. Reminders of what everything stands for. GR is games in relief. IP is innings pitched. SCOTGER is scoreless outing percentage, earned runs only, meaning we only count it against the pitcher if at least one of the runs charged to him in that game was earned. And the formula is scoreless outings divided by total games in relief. TBF is total batters faced. ER is earned runs. ERA minus is what we use in place of earned run average. It takes the pitcher's earned run average, adjusts it based on the park factor of his home ballpark. I won't get into the math for that since it's complicated, and divides the adjusted ERA by the league average ERA. Then it multiplies the answer by 100 and rounds it to the nearest whole number so you don't have any decimals. The lower the better. An ERA minus of 100 means he's right at league average. Each digit is 1 percentage point away from the league average. So the pitcher at the bottom, where it says 11, His earned run average is 11% of the league average ERA, which is absolutely absurd. The record for a full season, by the way, is 35 by Pedro Martinez in 2000. WHIP, for those who don't know, is walks plus hits per innings pitched. H is hits, HR is home runs, K is strikeouts, BB is walks. It actually stands for bases on balls. And most, if not all, of you know that already. But the percentages shown after HR, K, and BB are home run percentage, strikeout percentage, and walk percentage, respectively. The way to get that, if you do the math yourself, take, for example, pitcher E. He has 16 strikeouts, so you do 16 divided by his total batters faced, 56, and then round it to one decimal place. That's 28.6%. K minus BB percentage is strikeout minus walk percentage. Take strikeout percentage, subtract the walk percentage, put your answer. GEBEM, goose egg, broken egg, meh. GE divided by BE is goose eggs per broken egg. Historical average is 3.0. INF is infinite. Pitcher A has that because he does not have a broken egg yet. IR is inherited runners. IS is inherited runners that have scored. IS percentage is self-explanatory. That's the percentage of inherited runners he had that ended up scoring. IS divided by IR, convert it to a percent. Then the last column is his total points in the power rankings. You will see those and our methods later on. Please note, we have included the AL averages at the bottom of the screen for context. That way, if you're wondering, is that good? You can look at the league average and decide for yourself. Now, here are what the scores from the same 5 pitchers were at the end of play on April 30th. Once again, we have included the averages, this time from April 30th, at the bottom of the screen for context. Now, here are both sets of scores at the same time. And now the biggie, the changes in each. Notice first off, none of them gave up an earned run all week. Notice ERA minuses dropped quite a bit in the cases of pitchers E and D, but it dropped for the other 3 as well. The whips went down for pitchers E, D, and C significantly in the case of pitcher E. It went up a tiny bit for pitcher B, though it's still at an ungodly level, and it went up a decent amount for pitcher A, though it's still very, very good. Pitcher D pitched the fewest innings, had the fewest appearances, and pitched to the fewest batters. The others all pitched to at least 10. Note as well, the goose eggs. Only pitcher A didn't get any. Pitcher B had 1. The others had either 2 or 3. No broken eggs. Nobody let in an inherited runner. And the total points. Pitcher B went up by 8.2. The rest of them went up by at least 20. This is all a good sign for AL relief pitching as a whole. It started off very shaky league-wide, but now that the top closers in the American League are starting to perform the way they are, maybe the rest of the league will follow suit. If not, there will be a huge difference between the haves and have-nots when it comes to closers. This is a fun one. On May 6th, Texas Rangers beat writer Evan Grant, best first name in the world, right, of the Dallas Morning News, tweeted that 6 members of the Rangers Relief Corps have grown mustaches in what Grant called Mustache May. The 2 holdouts are Cal Quantrill and Jacob Junis. When Grant asked these relievers why they were doing it, Jake Latz put it simply, saying, "Because we were bored." Minutes before we filmed this, Mason Miller of the Padres struck out 4 batters in an inning, doing so in the 9th inning against the St. Louis Cardinals. For those wondering how that's possible, if a batter strikes out but the 3rd strike is not caught on the fly by the catcher, the batter must run to first. Then to complete the strikeout, the defense must throw him out at first base as if he had hit a ground ball to an infielder. If the batter reaches safely, it goes down as either a strikeout plus a wild pitch, a strikeout plus a passed ball, or if the throw to first goes wild and allows the runner to reach, meaning that he would have been out if the throw had been good, a strikeout plus an error. Anyway, according to the great Sarah Langs, Miller is the first Padres pitcher to strike out 4 batters in an inning since September 24th, 2021. The pitcher to do that? His current manager, Craig Stammen. As Jason Stark would say, because baseball. Now, for the most dominant team relief performances of the week, it's time for Deadbolt Delivered, where we honor the relief units that slammed the door and threw away the key. Here are this week's door slams. Real quick, for those who are new to this segment or have forgotten since the last episode, to get a door slam, a team must close out the game with at least 3 consecutive goose eggs. This string must be completely uninterrupted. There cannot be any broken eggs in there, there cannot be any mess in there, and there can't be any situation where the score differential is such that the pitcher doesn't get any of the three. It must be goose egg, goose egg, goose egg. Bang, bang, bang. At least 3 in a row. Why is this important? If a team gets a door slam, they completely shut the opponent down en route to a narrow victory. When the last outs are on the line, it's lockdown only. The door slam celebrates those nights when the back end doesn't merely protect the lead, it shuts the door, throws the deadbolt, and walks away with the key. Here is the list of each team's door slam totals at the end of Week 6. At this point, the Milwaukee Brewers and Arizona Diamondbacks had each played 35 games, but the rest of the league had played between 36 and 38 games. As you can see from the numbers here, door slams are not easy to get and are not common. They aren't uncommon. We typically get at least one per day, but they aren't common either. The leaders in all of Major League Baseball at the end of play on Wednesday, May 6th were the Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds, each with 5. Second place was the Colorado Rockies with 4, followed by the St. Louis Cardinals in third with 3. 11 teams had 2 each. The Arizona Diamondbacks, Athletics, Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, Cleveland Guardians, Detroit Tigers, Kansas City Royals, New York Mets, Philadelphia Phillies, Pittsburgh Pirates, and Texas Rangers. 8 teams had 1 door slam each. The Baltimore Orioles, the Houston Astros, Los Angeles Dodgers, Miami Marlins, Minnesota Twins, San Diego Padres, Seattle Mariners, and Toronto Blue Jays. 7 teams still did not have a single door slam after 6 weeks of play. The Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Angels, Milwaukee Brewers, New York Yankees, San Francisco Giants, Tampa Bay Rays, and Washington Nationals. In summary, over the first 6 weeks of the season, there were 47 total door slams league-wide. The Braves and Reds led the pack with 5 each, followed by the Rockies with 4. The National League had 30 door slams. The American League had 17. 12 National League teams and 11 American League teams had at least 1. Now it's time for the Team Relief Corps Power Rankings for Week 6. These rankings include every pitch thrown in relief by a player wearing their team's uniform, excluding position players, through the end of play on May 6th. This table shows the scoring breakdown. Teams are ranked in clutch, run prevention, base runner prevention, and command, weighted as shown. Recall that this season we have incorporated a meh penalty into the clutch rating. The final score determines the ranking. 0 means right at league average, positive is better than average, negative is below average. 0 means right at league average. Positive is better than average, negative is below average. A score of 100 means the team is 100% better than the league average. A score of 50 is 50% better. A score of minus 50 is 50% lower, and so on. Each number equals 1 percentage point. We will start with the number 30 team and work our way to number 1. AL teams will appear in red. National League teams will appear in blue. The first number in parentheses after the team name is their rank within their respective league. The number after the comma shows the change in their major league rank from the March-April rankings we aired last week to these Week 6 rankings. Here we go! Our first group is Pray for a Blowout Win. Dropping 2 spots to 30th with negative 16.4, the Washington Nationals. Holding steady at 29th with negative 16.1, the San Francisco Giants. Falling 1 place to 28th with negative 14.3, the Milwaukee Brewers. And slipping 1 spot to 27th with negative 13.4, the Minnesota Twins. Next is Stock Up on Tums. Out of the basement and rising 4 places to 26th with negative 7.5, the Houston Astros. 3 teams have lots of work to do. Dropping 4 spots to 25th with negative 2.8, the Detroit Tigers. Placed at 24th, still carrying the Ghost Broken Egg adjustment with an adjusted score of negative 2.5, the St. Louis Cardinals. And climbing 2 places to 23rd with negative 2.0, the Los Angeles Angels. If you need an explanation of the Ghost Broken Egg adjustment, please see the first episode of this season. 3 teams came in as below average. Falling 3 spots to 22nd with 0.9, the Chicago White Sox. Tumbling 8 places to 21st with 2.5, the Athletics. and dropping 5 spots to 20th with 3.5, the Toronto Blue Jays. 3 teams compose slightly below average, jumping 4 places to 19th with 7.0, the New York Yankees. Climbing 4 spots to 18th with 7.9, the Chicago Cubs. And falling 6 places to 17th with 9.2, the Miami Marlins. 5 teams make up the average, rising 2 spots to 16th with 13.5, the Philadelphia Phillies. Climbing 2 places to 15th with 14.6, the Kansas City Royals. Rising 2 spots to 14th with 14.9, the Boston Red Sox. Dropping 1 place to 13th with 15.0, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And climbing 2 spots to 12th with 16.0, the Texas Rangers. 3 teams are in slightly above average, falling 1 place to 11th with 18.0, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Rocketing 10 places up to 10th with 19.6, the New York Mets. And falling 7 spots to 9th with 20.6, the Cincinnati Reds. 3 teams form the decent, climbing 1 place to 8th with 22.5, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Dropping 2 spots to 7th with 24.1, the Baltimore Orioles. And climbing 2 places to 6th with 25.9, the Cleveland Guardians. 3 teams make up the very good, rising 2 spots to 5th with 28.3, the San Diego Padres. Falling 1 place to 4th with 30.8, the Seattle Mariners. And dropping 2 spots to 3rd with 31.9, the Colorado Rockies. And finally, better take an early lead against these last 2 teams, the top finishers in their respective leagues. Climbing 4 places to 2nd with 42.1, the number 1 team in the National League, the Atlanta Braves. And rising 3 spots to take over 1st with 49.9, the top scorer in the American League, the Tampa Bay Rays. The biggest gainers this week are the Mets up 10, followed by the Braves, Cubs, Astros, and Yankees, each up 4. The steepest drops came from the Athletics, down 8, the Reds down 7, the Marlins down 6, the Blue Jays down 5, and the Tigers down 4. Before we end this segment, here's a look at this week's scatter plot. And further illustrating the volatility of reliever rankings early in the season, the line graph of every team's rankings in the season so far, week by week. Coming up next, a visit with our special guest, the pitching ninja, Rob Friedman. Don't go away. Welcome back to Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza. I have with me a very special guest, Greg Guy. You know him as the pitching ninja. I know him as my buddy Rob Friedman. We met at the World Baseball Classic during the semis in Miami. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It was interesting because the auxiliary press box in Miami is the standing room seats in that right field corner. I'm out there and I'm just surrounded by Latin American media, and I'm looking around going, am I going to be able to talk to anybody? My Spanish isn't all that good. And then when the national anthems start, U.S. Dominican Republic, I belt out the Star Spangled Banner with all my heart. And these 3 guys in front of me turned around and I'm like, whoa, hey, all right.
It was the Italian national anthem.
That's right. It was the Italian one the next day. Yeah.
Because we were sitting there thinking the same thing, like, wow, there's a lot, it's whole international flavor. And we got this guy behind us belting the Italian national anthem and nobody else even singing it. This guy's amazing. And we just assumed you were Italian.
I did a DNA test. There is a trace, but I'm more Irish than anything. So, but the other thing I noticed, I was like, this dude has one of the great beards in baseball writing. I mean, it's right up there with C. Trent Rosencrantz and Bill Plunkett, which is hard to do. So, anyway.
I appreciate it.
Hey, anytime. But then I found out you were the actual pitching ninja. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am meeting one of the greats on X, formerly Twitter. First off, the mere fact that ninja is in your account name automatically brings it up like 4 levels of awesome. So, can you tell us how you got that name for your account in the first place?
Sure. I was coaching, and my wife is half Japanese. My son's a quarter Japanese.
Okay.
And he was pitching and had like this bandana over his face because it was a cold day. And one of my fellow coaches said, "Oh, he looks like a ninja. Do you want?" And tried to make him nickname the ninja, and he didn't like it. And I was like, "Dude, I'm the pitching coach. I should be the pitching ninja." So that's kind of where it started.
There you go. And what inspired you to create your account on, was it Twitter at the time, or had it become X by then?
Oh no, it was definitely. I've been on there since 2014.
Oh,
So
that's right. Yeah, I started following you
yeah.
when I started reporting, and that was in 2019. It was definitely
Yeah,
Twitter at the time,
I've been on there for a long time.
Mhm.
And it was really just to share information that I had learned over the years from coaching. I didn't want it to stop with me because I was like, I'm not going to coach forever. So why don't I share some of the stuff I learned and pay it forward? And I started doing that. And for some reason, everybody started following it. Like, I didn't expect to do any of this. So it just grew and grew and grew.
There you go. It's definitely one of the most fascinating accounts on the entire platform. If any pitcher has something nasty, I know it's going to show up there. That's where we saw Devin
Or
Williams.
I'm not doing my job.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's where we first saw Devin Williams as screwball, and people were like, wait, what is that? I didn't know balls could break like that. I'm like, you obviously did not see Fernando. That's called a screwball, people. But anyway, so you started doing that, and it grew, and what we like to do here at Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza, because a lot of people go with, oh, he blew the game, and they automatically remember that. They never remember the successes, and there are always, well, not always, but most of the time, there are far more successes than failures when it comes to relief outings. So we look at categories and say, this is why they're doing what they're doing. You break it down even further, pitch by pitch, this is why they're doing what they're doing. So I definitely appreciate what you do. I know I'm not alone in that regard. Maybe for the reason, but not for the actual appreciation. So, Rob, thank you for what you do, first off.
Oh, my pleasure. We definitely are in two different spaces because I get lost sometimes in the middle of the forest because I'm watching everything. Like, I watch everything, just look for nasty pitches and look for the guys that I follow. I less take a 30,000-foot view and go like, this guy's been tearing it up, unless I've seen it over and over again. The guy looks nasty. So by grading it and by looking at the information from a 30,000-foot view, you start to get a different view of guys. And some of the guys that you asked me about were some of those. Like, I'd watch a pitch or two, but when you take a step back and you notice that they're having a great season, you got to figure out what's changed.
Okay, and with that, we'll start with one guy who is having a season so far for the ages. I'm talking about Baltimore Orioles. He was a setup man. Now he's the closer with Ryan Helsley going down with injury. Rico Garcia. This guy, in the entire season so far, has given up one home run. That was also the only hit he's given up, and it was the only earned run he's given up, and it was to Royals second baseman Michael Massey on the night of April 21st. So first off, your overall impression of Rico Garcia?
Well, number one, my theory is, since you hear all the time solo home runs don't beat you, solo home runs shouldn't count. So let's let that home run off the board. If you give up a run because of a home run, we'll forgive you. But what's jumped out at me, he's kind of come out of nowhere for me. And I was wondering why he's been so effective, because it's not that evident. He's got a very weird changeup, for one. His changeup's really flat, does not have a ton of drop to it, but has a lot of arm side run. As well as mechanics are a little funky. It looks like he is going to come at you from a lower arm slot, and it comes out a little higher than you think. It's just a weird kind of funk that I imagine messes with hitters a good bit. So those are the two things that kind of jumped out at me about him, just to figure out is it sustainable or not, because I do think it's still early. And there are guys that tear it up for a while and then revert. I don't know. Like, that funk may last.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. He's only thrown, like 17 innings so far?
Right.
And that's clearing your throat if you're a starting pitcher. That's part of why I invented the new stat for reliever run prevention. I don't use reliever ERA all that much. I did the scoreless outing percentage, because with relievers, they don't care how many runs you would give up if you pitched a full 9-inning game, because you don't pitch full 9-inning games. They care, okay, when you went in for that inning, did you give up a run? No? Okay, good. We're good. Next guy. That's how they look at it. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because sometimes you just might let a guy cook and it might kill his ERA, but he's saving the rest of the bullpen. Should he be penalized by destroying his ERA when he's been outrageously good for a bunch of different outings? So I get that. That's a very good way of looking at it.
And we do have a tiny bit of our run prevention metric that is ERA, but I use ERA minus so that it corrects for ballparks. But there's a tiny bit there because you want to separate the guys that give up like a run every now and then versus the when it rains it pours pitchers. Like a great example of that was Miguel Castro for the Diamondbacks when they made the World Series run. He didn't give up runs about 80% of the time, but when he did, my goodness.
Yeah. He was nasty in the ones that he was shutting people down too. Like I think he was one of my underrated nasty guys.
Okay, yeah. Let's go there. So another guy, the Blue Jays. I have felt bad for Jeff Hoffman since Game 7 last year. I know Jeff. I talked with him at the All-Star game in Texas. Great human being, and you know that he thought about it over and over again all offseason. Because how could you not? And then he started the year off a bit rough. They bumped him back to setup, promoted Louis Varland to closer. Varland has been incredible. What have you seen from Louis Varland?
He has been great, period. Like he's been one of the guys that I've followed for a number of years just because he's electric. His velo had bumped up, so he's now bumping at like 98. Nasty stuff. He comes at you. He's got a great mindset for a reliever role because he was like, one of those guys that was a tweener. He's a starter. He's a reliever. Now that he has his identity, he really runs with it, and he's just an electric pitcher. Like I understand how he does well because he just comes at hitters and is just flat out shoving the ball down their throats.
Yeah, and he's our number one rated closer again this week. Some people might not think of it because they look straight at saves. I don't use saves, I use goose eggs, but the stat by Nate Silver. But some people may look at his saves and think it's low. But the Blue Jays they aren't really having that great of a season, if I remember correctly. I haven't looked at the standings recently. So his saves are going to be low compared to others just because they aren't ahead as much. But when he is in the game, forget it, right?
Yeah, exactly. His changeup has also been really good, and I think that's in part. Changeups are hard to tell from just pitch characteristics a lot of times. Mm-hmm. It's about how it plays with a guy's arsenal and how he moves. And since Varland is so electric and he just comes at you with a lot of energy, it makes a changeup that much more effective. Parker Messick does that from his starting role too.
Okay. And then our number one middle reliever for I think it's the third week. He's been the number one guy the entire time we've done this show, and this is episode 3, so third week in a row, is Daniel Lynch the fourth from the Royals. What have you seen from Daniel?
He changes mechanics a little bit. So he's got a number of things going on. One is he was a little rotational in previous years. He's now mixed in some linear stuff, which is the way he used to throw. So it's helping him get downhill and just dialing in his command a little bit better. I think it's just an established role for him that works well with his mindset. So he's been really good.
Okay, and now moving on to
he's also one thing that I've noticed too is he's throwing a lot more 2-seamers than 4-seamers this year, which is a big change for him.
Now, for the fans who may not know the difference, can you tell us how 4-seamers behave versus 2-seamers?
Yeah, a 4-seamer is basically your traditional fastball. It's designed to go generally as straight as possible, as fast as possible, and ideally very high spin efficiency that allows it to float above bats. And a 2-seamer is just a different orientation. You're dealing with the 2 seams of the ball. Tends to have more run, moves more arm side. Can throw it just as fast, but it generally used to be thought of as a sinker. But pitchers aren't really throwing it necessarily as a sinker to get ground balls. They're throwing it even up in the zone. You see Scooble throw it up in the zone. Guys like that to keep people off a 4-seam fastball. If you have 2 variations, one will move arm side, one will go straight. So now a hitter's got something else to think about.
Okay, and older guys like me, when we hear run, we think of tailing, right? When it goes arm side, and then when it goes the other way, we think of it hooking. Is that basically it? Okay.
Yeah, it's break, hook, either way.
Okay, and then And I remember Christian Walker telling me that a lot of times forcing fastballs, you'll get an optical illusion where it looks like it's rising, but it's actually just failing to drop. Is that correct?
100%. You can't
Okay.
make the ball rise unless you got like a 5,000 RPM spin rate. But it generally, because of the way the seams go through the air, it fights gravity more and will keep its plane better. So you generally will swing under it. Yep.
Now, to clarify, obviously Christian Walker knows what he's talking about. I was trying to make sure I remembered what he said correctly.
Yeah, you nailed it, and that's 100% right.
Okay. All right, now moving on to the National League, guys. It's been really interesting with the closers because the first week, the number one closer was Riley O'Brien because he had more goose eggs than Mason Miller just because he was pitching in more close games. Miller has had a lot of 3-run leads. Then Mason Miller, number two, which is weird given how often he strikes guys out. And then Gregory Soto from the Pirates, number three. It held true again last week when we did our March-April relievers of the month. This week, Soto took over number one, and O'Brien dropped to number three, and Miller stayed number two. So I'm gonna ask you about Gregory Soto from the Pirates because a lot of people probably aren't too familiar with him simply because of where he plays. So what have you seen from Gregory Soto that makes him so effective?
Well, he's a hard-throwing guy it was always wondering with him, why wasn't he effective? Like, he's one of those guys that you can see has really, really good stuff, but for some reason had, these little bad outings or quirks or wasn't able to find the strike zone. Been more consistent. He's also thrown a lot more sweepers this year, which is opening up the rest of his pitch mix. When a guy throws that hard, you're thinking, all right, well, shove fastballs at people. Generally, if you throw that hard, you want to throw fewer fastballs because people are going to wait for it. They're going to hunt fastballs against you because they have to. And if you can throw more off-speed stuff, you're going to be nastier because there's a bigger differential between what the hitter's expecting and what they're getting.
Okay, yeah, that reminds me of a conversation Brent Strom had with me when I was covering the Diamondbacks. One time he came up, he put his hand on my shoulder, and when Brent does that, you know you're about to hear something good. He goes, Evan, remember, pitching is about throwing off guys' timing. If you throw fast all the time, they will eventually time you. Nolan Ryan struck guys out when his curveball was working well. So you got to make sure you're throwing hitters' timing off. I was like, all right, okay, thank you, Brent.
Stromy's the best.
Yeah.
I'm a big Brent Strom fan.
So that goes in line with what you were saying with Soto. He's starting to throw the breaking ball more, so you can't sit on that fastball. Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
All right. And then number one setup man was actually the National League saves leader last year because he was the Padres closer. We're talking about Robert Suarez. Now that Raisel Iglesias is back, Iglesias is the closer again. Suarez is the setup man. What have you seen from Robert Suarez?
I've just seen more of the same. I mean, he absolutely shoves. Like, that guy throws vicious fastballs, nasty changeups. He's in Atlanta, which is where I am. So get to watch him, each and every night that the Braves are on, just about, it seems like. Yeah. And I mean, that tail end of the bullpen is tough. When you have if you have Suarez as your setup guy, forget it. Like, because he's got closer stuff. Like, he's a guy, no surprises, he just shoves.
Yeah, I mean, how many other teams could have their closer go down for 2 weeks and be fine because they could go to the setup man and be like, hey, remember how you led the National League in saves last year? Can you go fill in as the closer for a little bit until Raisel gets back? Yeah, sure.
Exactly. I mean, they're able to do that with catchers too, with Drake Baldwin and Murphy. Yes. So you have, it's one of those things. You're lucky when you have that redundancy, and everybody's not the Dodgers, which has, you saw what the Dodgers did last year, though. I talked about them in spring training about how much pitching they had. And by the end of the year, it was a matter of like trotting out Yoshinobu Yamamoto 500 times in the World Series because all their pitchers were down or not reliable. So you need depth. And that's one of the things the Braves did right this year.
Absolutely. And this won't surprise the viewers have already seen this. This won't surprise you because, we're recording this before I even make them. The Braves came in number one in the National League this week. They're number two in the majors behind the Rays. Probably doesn't surprise you at all, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then a new guy who showed up in our middle reliever rankings because he's now eligible with enough appearances from the Dodgers, Kyle Hurt. What have you seen from him? He's our number one middle reliever this week.
Well, he's not hurt. He's healthy now. So that's a big thing for him because his fastball is very tough to hit. It's very high spin efficiency, which, as we were talking, means it keeps its plane better. Mm-hmm. And he's always had a very good fastball, 70 grade fastball type of guy. But it's a matter of being healthy. And now he's got a defined role on the team, and they can just let it eat. And they need a guy like that. Like, he is a perfect fit. So to me, it's about roles and it's about being healthy for him.
Okay, and yeah, the Dodgers now have Tanner Scott closing again because he's himself again, and they have Alex Vesey as a setup man. He came in second to Suarez this week in the
Love
ratings.
Vesey too, yeah. Vesey,
oh yeah,
really.
Vesey's great. What kind of breaking stuff does Kyle Hurt throw?
Throws let me see what I have. He is mostly a slider guy off that, but he's a bullet slider, a gyro slidery guy. So not a big sweeping thing, which if you're going to throw a four-seam fastball that keeps its plane, you're going to want something generally tunneling-wise that goes down, and more of a bullet slider will go down. You think of a bullet, doesn't move side to side, it goes straight. Mm-hmm. Unlike a curveball, which goes down for a different reason. Curveball goes down because you have generally spin on it that's driving it down. It's almost a lack of spin. It'll go down faster than a four-seam fastball because it's got the bullet spin, but slower drop than a curveball.
Okay.
So it's a gyro-y slider that he can throw hard.
Gotcha. And I said if we had time, I'd ask about these guys, and we do. So one who showed up, who has been pretty high on the setup men rankings, and some A's fans may be like, why? Because he has a tendency to walk a lot of guys. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong guy. Forget that. I'm not thinking of Hogan. That's Hogan Harris. Jack Perkins has had a really nice season for the A's. What have you seen from Jack Perkins?
I mean, he's just been consistently good. Like, he's not a guy that just blows me away with stuff. He's got good stuff. Mm-hmm. I can't put my finger on it with him. He's one of those guys that just has everything clicking, and it could be just stepping up in a role. Like some of these guys, sometimes it's a mental thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you get handed a role and you start adopting to it. It's like when guys go from starting to relieving, just a mindset change. Some it fits, some it doesn't. It's hard to tell with him. Like, to be honest, it was not something. There's nothing that really jumped out at me other than that he's been good.
So, is it sustainable?
That I don't know. That's the question. So, to me, I always have to find something to say something sustainable or not. It could be, but I need more. I need to see a little bit more from him.
And you know what? Too early to tell is a legitimate answer. So
yeah,
I understand that.
I do find sometimes you get enamored with somebody early in the season, and then later on you're like, oh well, yeah, now he's got a 5 ERA. It wasn't so it wasn't so great.
He got knocked around a bit.
I think I had Bobby Miller at one point for like keep on the Cy Young watch, and then all hell broke loose.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, and remember the year Josh Hader's wife almost died giving birth to their daughter? How right around the time that happened, he had 3 horrible outings in a row, and
I can't even imagine pitching through that.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, when you have a new baby, you don't get any sleep,
right?
And
well, all right. So that's the point. Is like we can look at analytics on guys and all that, but sometimes it's different. It's deeper than there's bad or good in someone's life. Like it just things get sorted out mentally, and they can figure it out. So. I mean, you see guys all the time that for whatever reason it clicks in a certain role, and almost all the time it's mental and not stuff.
Yeah, and a role thing. Remember during the World Baseball Classic, Greg Weissert was closing for Italy and was just mowing guys down. And now he's back in a middle relief role for the Red Sox, and he's had a pretty pedestrian year. So I can see what you're saying there.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be either fluky. They have a team that they like. They feel an obligation to pitch better. I think somewhat Soto being put in a role where he knows he has it going back through guys. I think that's one of the things. Like he knows he's the man. And he knows that Paul Skeens is out there saying, like, I'm handing you the ball and you're going to shut it down and you have an obligation to do it. Sometimes it's that type of mindset that clicks with somebody that you can't tell from their stuff, but it's purely attacking people. And I think some of the guys on the list, are definitely those type of guys.
A guy I've been saving for last because we are seeing him do things that we didn't think were humanly possible, and that's Mason Miller.
I mentioned there are some guys you can't tell why they're pitching great. He's one of those guys that you can, because he's unhittable. You have to get lucky to face Mason Miller and get a hit with that heater that's touching 104, and then a slider that comes off of that. That is, you basically pick your poison. Either one is impossible. The slider's a better pitch for him than his fastball that's 104. And then he can occasionally throw you a changeup at like 95, 96. So, yeah, he's a guy that it has made a difference mindset-wise, just because he came up as a starter.
Right.
And just being able to let it loose, attack people in the zone, let your stuff eat, and even the walk-up music and stuff like that he has. Like, all this stuff puts together to make a guy a monster and puts a little chip on his shoulder. So the combination of all that is when you get someone like Mason Miller.
Yeah, his slider's what, 91?
Yeah. And, well, it's actually low. Yeah, but it's also just a nasty, like, regardless of anything about it, it's just nasty. Like, it's got ridiculous movement. And again, hitters are going to hunt fastballs. The difference in velo between his fastball and slider is huge, and difference in movement, because his fastball keeps its plane really well, is huge too. But it's really being in the zone too helps. Like, he just attacks guys.
Yeah, his K- walk percentage is 50.8%.
Right.
That's
crazy.
absurd.
Right. He's nuts.
And his whip is as of Wednesday night, was 577. That means he's allowing a base runner every 2 innings. Yeah. And you don't see that. You just don't see that.
So the disappointing thing is when he doesn't strike out the side. Like, for me, you have your goose eggs. To me, it's either he strikes out the side, and that's a normal Mason Miller outing, or if he doesn't, it's a subpar Mason Miller outing. That's how good he is. If he is only Ks 2 and gets a weak ground ball, that's not a good outing for him.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying there. That makes sense. So, we're about out of time, but do you have anything to promote?
Oh, well, I have my book that's out called Unhittable. Just since we're talking about Mason Miller, that's pretty good.
Do you have it where we can see the cover?
Sitting back here.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Right there. You can get it on Amazon, anywhere, actually. Get it anywhere you get your books. It's about the development of pitching in today's game and why pitchers are unhittable, how they've been engineered to defeat hitters, and really juxtaposing guys like Nolan Ryan in the past and what they might have been able to do in today's environment with the extra technology and stuff we have.
All right. Well, you know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to put a link to the Amazon page for that book in the description box for this video.
You're the
Order
man.
Rob's book. Order Rob's book. All right. Well, Rob Friedman, this was great. I loved having you on. I hope to have you on again before long, because you're adding stuff to the show that is just making this even better. So thanks again for coming by. Rob Friedman, everyone. Follow him on X, Pitching Ninja. Don't go away. We will be right back with the individual relief power rankings. Welcome back to Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza. It is time for the individual power rankings for Week 6. Statistics include every regular season game up through the end of play on Wednesday night, May 6th. To qualify for the rankings, there is a minimum of 9 relief appearances. And for the goose egg per broken egg plus statistic, which forms 2/3 of the clutch category we use to rate setup men and closers, there is a minimum of 5 goose eggs plus broken eggs. A note on the roles: if a team is using co-closers, we list both as closers. If it is closer by committee, we list all members of that committee as setup men. A link to our ranking methods is in the description box below this video. Here we go! We begin with the American League middle relievers. Number 10 with 27.8 from the Tigers, Brant Herter. Number 9 with 28.4 from the Blue Jays, Braden Fisher. Number 8 with 32.9 from the Orioles, Grant Wolfram. Number 7 with 33.0 from the Mariners, Cooper Criswell. Number 6 with 34.5 from the Rays, Kevin Kelly. Number 5 with 37.3 from the Yankees, Brent Hedrick. Number 4 with 42.2 from the Red Sox, Tyler Samaniego. Number 3 with 47.8 from the Orioles, Yennier Cano. Number 2 with 51.4, a newcomer to this leaderboard from the Rangers, Gavin Collier. And number 1 once again with 54.2 from the Royals, Daniel Lynch IV. Their counterparts in the National League, number 10 with 16.6 from the Marlins, Lake Bacher. Number 9, 18.4 is his score. The Marlins are his team. His name is Michael Peterson. Number 8 with 20.5 from the Phillies, Orion Kerkering. Number 7 with 20.8 from the Mets, Huáscar Brazoban. Number 6 with 22.6 from the Pirates, Mason Montgomery. Number 5 with 23.1 from the Padres, Jeremiah Estrada. Number 4 with 28.6 from the Phillies, Chase Shugart. Number 3 with 28.9 from the Dodgers, Jack Dreyer. Number 2 with 49.4 from the Rockies, Brennan Bernardino. And taking over number 1 with 55.9, he's finally healthy, from the Dodgers, Kyle Hurt. On to the American League setup men. Number 10 with 58.8 from the Blue Jays, Tyler Rogers. Number 9 with 64.6 from the Mariners, Eduardo Bazardo. Number 8 with 72.5 from the Red Sox, Garrett Whitlock. Number 7 with 75.7 from the Mariners, Jose A. Ferrer. Number 6 with 77.7 from the White Sox, Grant Taylor. Big jump in score. Number 5, 130.2 from the Rangers, Jacob Junis. Number 4 with 130.5 from the Athletics, Hogan Harris. Number 3 with 138.1 from the Guardians, Eric Sabrowski. Number 2 with 146.2 from the Royals, Matt Strom. And number 1 with 176.7 from the Athletics, Jack Perkins. Their counterparts in the National League, number 10 with 56.3 from the Braves, Dylan Lee. Number 9 with 59.3 from the Mets, Brooks Raley. Number 8 with 70.3 from the Reds, Graham Ashcraft. Number 7 with 75.6 from the Padres, Jason Adam. Number 6, tough week for him because he was number 1 last week, with 78.4 from the Reds, Tony Santillan. Number 5 with 105.9 from the Mets, Luke Weaver. Number 4 with 106.5 from the Diamondbacks, Juan Murillo. Number 3 with 122.2 from the Pirates, Isaac Matson. Number 2 with 155.3 from the Dodgers, Alex Vesia. And our new number 1, he switched back to setup because his team's closer is healthy again, with 167.4 from the Braves, Robert Suarez. Now for the American League closers. Now you get to see the names behind pitcher E, pitcher D, pitcher C, pitcher B, and pitcher A. Number 5 with 104.1 from the Rays, Brian Baker. Number 4 with 118.4 from the Guardians, Cade Smith. Number 3 with 124.9 from the Red Sox, Aroldis Chapman. Number 2 with 144.9. The absurd season continues for Rico Garcia of the Baltimore Orioles, who's now their closer. And number 1, once again, with 166.0 from the Blue Jays, Lewis Varland. And finally, the National League closers. Number 5, with 73.9 from the Rockies, Der Kommissar, Victor Vodnik. Number 4, with 168.7 from the Braves, Raisel Iglesias. Number 3, with 170.1 from the Cardinals, Riley O'Brien. Number 2 with 192.8 from the Padres, Mason Miller. And number 1 with 198.0 from the Pirates, Gregory Soto. That concludes this installment of Reliever Roundup and Bullpen Bonanza from Sport Relay. Join us next time when we will go through Week 7. I'm Evan Thompson. Thanks for watching, and we will see you then.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Click subscribe so you'll never miss an episode of this show or of our other show, Trade Trees. Tell your friends and baseball contacts. If you haven't done so yet, consider buying my books, A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs, Volume 1 and Volume 2. There are links in the description box below this video. And finally, bookmark and regularly visit sportrelay.com. Until next time, this is Evan Thompson saying so long for now.